Hey guys, welcome back. As always, my name is Leyzar, and today we're going to be talking about the brand new status effects in Warframe. Now these come as a direct result of changing how status chants and status mechanics work in Warframe. We're going to go over the brand new effects, we're going to go over how status chants currently works, how it will work, and I'm going to give you a clear example. Then we're going to be drawing some conclusions, objective and subjective, because you know what? I earned it. So let's have a look at how status chants works now in Warframe. We're gonna take a random example of a weapon, the Tiberon Prime, sure, why not. Let's go to semi-automatic. Now this weapon has a 58.8% current status chance. This is a shot status chance, and on the weapon I got impact, puncture, slash, and corrosive. There's one rule that you always gotta keep in mind in Warframe, even after the brand new update. Impact, puncture, slash, the free physical types have a 4 times greater chance of applying a status effect over elemental types such as heat, corrosive, electricity, you name it, it doesn't really matter. So when you're trying to figure out exactly what is your proc priority, remember to multiply just visually impact, puncture, slash times 4. So if I was gonna take a look at this one and fire it in semi, what is the proc priority? Puncture, corrosive, slash, impact. You get it? It's pretty simple for the most part. That said, right now we are building on our weapons kinda in this fashion. There was no point to going overboard with status chants on most weapons. There was one exception, however, pellet-based weapons such as the Tigris Prime, for example. If you went to 100% true status chants, that is not multi-shot status chants, you would go make the weapon basically go nuclear. These were some of the most powerful builds: Tigris Prime, Stern Wraith, Boar Prime, Kuva Brak, and so on and so forth. Now unfortunately this will go away. The update unfortunately is a huge nerf to weapons such as these, but it is a huge buff to other weapons such as, for example, assault rifles like the Tiberon Prime. The brand new status effect makes it so, or status mechanic better said, makes it so it's worth it to go over 100% status chance. So for example, let's assume that my status chance is 125%. You would say, what's the point? You got 100%, why go over? Because after the brand new update, each and every single bullet that I fire will have a guaranteed status effect plus a 25% chance of applying an additional status effect, which is definitely huge. So think about it like this. I fire a bullet from this gun. It has 125% status chance. I'm gonna apply one status effect, which status effects depends on RNG and the proc priority that we already talked about, and a 25% chance of applying another status effect within the same frame. That means with the exact same bullet, okay? Now of course, you're gonna say, fantastic man, double corrosive at the same time, and yes, for corrosive, this would have been extremely advantageous, but think about Viral for a second. What kind of advantage could Viral possibly get currently in Warframe if it would get 2 procs at the exact same time? Nothing. Okay, because it's time based, which is why a whole lot of these status effects got reworked, got a little bit changed. Now what you need to understand is that they're still the same old status effects. They still do mostly the same thing. They just been adapted to the brand new status mechanics. And let me show you exactly what I mean. Let's have a look over here. By the way, if you want to read this forum post, the full post, link in the description down below. Let's start off with good old slash, my friends. Everybody loves slash. Yes, well, each slash status has its own duration, but now we only show a maximum of 10 damage numbers in the HUD. Damage is unaffected, but reducing how many damage events we show helps with performance. And when they say with performance, not your performance, their performance. Showing a couple of extra numbers, even 10, even 15, even 20 on our side will not kill our processors or our GPUs, but it is easier on their server. So basically, nothing much changes for slash, but you're not gonna see your targets light up like a Christmas tree with all the slashes. You're only gonna see 10 of them. That's a bit of a bummer, but of course it doesn't really affect the damage. There's one thing that they don't say here about slash, but they did mention it in the previous dev workshop. Slash will no longer bypass shields. Okay guys, slash will no longer bypass shields. It will have to go through shields. Toxin still goes through shields though, so bear that one in mind. A little bit less power to slash. Now some have overreacted already. Oh my god, slash is worthless now. No, it just doesn't go through shields. It's still very, very powerful, just like Hunter munitions. And it's not like Corpus are actually hard to kill. Impact! This was the chance for the developer to make impact useful and not fucking annoying. Let's see, did they do that? Repeat single target impact status effect will escalate the efficiency of the impact status from Stagger all the way to full Ragdoll. Now thankfully, my friends, they realized the error of their ways before making something like this live. No more Ragdoll. Thank the Lord. At least in the case of impact. Yes, impact is still the worst status effect in Warframe, like I told you before, these are slightly modified, but they still do the same thing. Puncture! The first puncture status effect has an enemy deal 30% less damage, subsequent puncture status adds 5% weakening leading up to 75% capped. Each puncture status has the duration of 6 seconds, and you'll see that all these status effects have a duration of 6 seconds except corrosive, more on corrosive later. So what does puncture do? Still reduce the enemy's damage, whoop-de-doo and all that good stuff. Now I laugh at puncture, but you know what, if you're doing high-level targets, if you're doing endurance runs, you're gonna be happy you get a puncture proc on that corrupted heavy gunner which is currently targeting you. So there's that. Cold. The first cold status effect deals 25% slow, subsequent cold status effect plus 5% slow for a total of 70% 10 procs. Basically you see a pattern here. And once again the duration 6 seconds. Heat no change because they barely changed the heat proc, it remains as is. Toxin C slash plus the base duration of toxin status effect now matches slash for 6 seconds. Okay, you get it now. Everything lasts for 6 seconds. Now toxin will still bypass shields. Slash, not so much. How exactly you slash? Anyway, it's fine. Electric. I like this one. This one is legitimately interesting, at least from my humble point of view. AoE electric damage that is part of the status effect can now occur while the target is still under the stun animation or another electric status effect. So this should be cool. I can't wait for this to go live and just take the Amprax and then perma apply electric to your target. I'm pretty sure they're gonna nerf this one. It's fine. I'm not gonna say it. It's fine. Blast. Here's another status effect which players don't really love in Warframe, but it can be tremendously good fun and it can apply some very useful crowd control. Grants the Blast status effect to all enemies in radius. Blast status reduces enemy accuracy by 30% base. Subsequent Blast status effect 5% in accuracy for a total of 75% at 10 stacks. Each Blast status has a 6% second duration. So Blast reduces enemy accuracy. Once again, extremely useful if you're fighting high level targets which deal a whole lot of damage. For example, the Corrupted, Corpus Corrupted are just a pain in the arse, which is why sometimes you need a little bit of crowd control. And if your Warframe can deliver, perhaps your weapon can. Corrosive, don't worry, Corrosive is still gonna be MVP, by the way. Corrosive, the first Corrosive status effect strips 26% of the armor, subsequent Corrosive status effect strips 6% more armor, leading up to 80% armor removal, 6% per stack. Huh? This will actually give an advantage to bullet hose kind of weapons, weapons that are capable of putting a lot of projectiles or a lot of bullets into a target really quickly to get to that 80%. But it's 80% capped, which means we can no longer overstrip. And you might say, oh my god, terrible nerf. No! Great buff, my friends. If you no longer overstrip, you no longer remove your damage bonus that you have, once again, that Corrosive has on ferrite armor, and that is huge. The same 75% bonus damage effect that Radiation has on alloy armor. So again, from my point of view, this is a buff, not necessarily a nerf. Each Corrosive status effect lasts 8 seconds. 8 seconds for Corrosive. Corrosive used to be infinite. The logic here was, well, it corroded the armor, right? But this is space armor, so now it will regenerate. Yeah, logic in Warframe, don't even ask. Radiation. The first Radiation status effect has now an enemy deal 100% damage to allies. Subsequent Radiation status adds 50% damage, leading up to 550 capped. Each Radiation status effect has a duration of 12 seconds, so this one is different as well. The first time I read this, I could not think of anything else but Nyx. Nyx plus this, definitely very interesting. Magnetic. This one is a brand new status effect, entirely new. Enhanced damage. First Magnetic status effect deals 100% additional shield damage. Subsequent magic status adds 25% for a total of 325 capped. Enemies under magnetic status effect cannot regenerate shields. Magnetic status duration is now 6 seconds. Yes, it got really good until you got the shield. So there you go. Basically still, magnetic is good versus shields, just like it has been for basically forever. Viral, this one is legitimately interesting. Hold on. New status effect, entirely enhanced damage. First viral status effect deals 100% additional damage. Subsequent viral status adds 25% for a total of 325%. Guys, additional health damage. Now, this would be very interesting to see how it plays in live, because if it applies to targets which actually have armor over their health, then viral is gonna become MVP. No questions about it. I hope not, because basically they're just gonna exchange corrosive for viral. I still think this will not apply or shouldn't apply, or there should be some kind of mitigated form that should apply to targets which have armor, but hey, what do I know? And we'll wait and see. And gas, not much to say about gas. The base duration of the gas status effect now matches Slash for 6 seconds. Well, my friends, guess what? We're still gonna be building corrosive with viral. Oh wow, who saw that one coming? That's pretty much it for the changes in status effects. If you want to read the full article, there's a link in the description down below. There are a couple of additional informations. For example, a whole bunch of frames got some armor. Whoop-de-doo, everybody gets buffed and all whatnot. Even Inaro's got more armor, believe it or not. And one more thing which is kinda important from my point of view, faction aura changes. Corrosive projection, shield disruption, infested impedance. Let's be honest here, corrosive projection is important here. Basically, they will no longer allow us to use such auras to completely remove an enemy's shield or an enemy's armor. It will reach 60-80% from now on, so bear that one in mind. There are also gonna be some changes to AoE damage. The AoE damage will have a drop off from weapons from the internal point of the explosion, okay, from the center point of the explosion going outwards, there will be a damage drop off, because they realized if they remove self damage and there's no drawback to using AoE weapons such as the Brahma, well, we're in trouble, because basically everybody would be using those weapons. But anyway, that ends the presentation objectively, or as objectively as I possibly could, to these brand new status effects. From an objective point of view, I think they are healthy to the game, changing things up a little bit, and they also offer me a great opportunity to redo a bunch of my builds. But priority still kinda remains the same. The only weapons which will change a whole lot in terms of build will be the pellet-based weapons, which up until this point we went for 100% through status chance. That will change. But rifles and, I don't know, everything else basically will still kinda remain the same. Now, if you'll allow me, my friends, a bit of a subjective opinion, I believe I earned it. And you know what? If you don't want to listen to me, well, you can tune out now. I have fully built, played with, and tested essentially all primary and secondary weapons in Warframe, and I'm not complaining. I love what I do, I honestly do. It's exciting every single time I get a brand new weapon, I get to play around with it and bring you guys my findings. It is honestly what I'm passionate about. And this offers me the perfect excuse, yes, I'm gonna call it an excuse, to go back and revisit some of my favorite shotguns. For example, the Tigris Prime, the Stern Wraith, I'm gonna do one on the Arca Plasmor, and I have so many plans lined up, especially for a couple of assault rifles, which will be a lot more powerful after these changes. But I wouldn't be me if I wouldn't ask, why are we going through these changes again? What was the point? Because it's very easy for me to get swiped up in the hype and say, hey, it doesn't matter, man, I'm getting these changes, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. But the point was to make status chance a whole lot more viable, go over 100%, especially in comparison to crit, because I believe that was the argument, was it not? Make status chance more viable. Did they succeed in that? When it comes to primary weapons, no. First of all, Hunter Munitions exist, and I know I hammered this one in, and I gotta bring it up again, simply because Hunter Munition has the capability of applying still one of the most powerful status effects for critical chance. Of course, critical chance on primary weapons is still gonna be a whole lot more important. The changes to the status effects are a direct result of changing the status mechanic. They're not more powerful, they're not more meaningful, they're not more anything essentially. They still do the same goddamn thing, unless DE has some plans later down the line of changing other things, or perhaps introducing another status effect, perhaps another health type or something like that, because other than that, it's basically still Jane, but Jane changed her brown hat for a red hat. Do you like Jane with the brown hat, or do you like Jane with the red hat? That is totally up to you. I prefer a red hat, but that's just me. Overall, my friends, I may not be the smartest person in the world, definitely not. But I did my absolute best to wrap my head around the developer's reasoning, and no matter how I look at it, it all rings hollow. These are changes for the sake of changes. And you know what? Sometimes that's totally fine. What worries me, however, is that the dev felt like they needed to resort to such measures to make the game more interesting. And that is truly concerning. As always, my name has been Leyzar. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the content. If you got any sorts of feedback for me, I would love to read it in the comment section down below. But more importantly than me and my feedback, make sure to let some feedback for the dev on their forums, on this video, whatever you guys feel like it. Hey, I like these changes because, or I don't like these changes because. Opinions such as great or not great, or it sucks, or it's wonderful, don't really help all that much. Try to present a couple of arguments. Why don't you like? Why do you like? Offering feedback to the dev is vital for us to get a better game, always. I'll catch you guys in the next one.